So is the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, covering up the crimes that were committed by the banksters back in 2006, 2007? Well, throughout the decade of the aughts that led to the great, George W. Bush banking crisis and crash?
It sure looks that way. The story that we did this week reports that over a period of about 17 years, dating back to 1993, the SEC was systematically and as a matter of policy shredding its own intelligence, its own files. So what this really meant was anytime a complaint went into the SEC or, information about suspicious trades, they would work the case a little bit. If it didn't turn into a full-blown investigation, if it got rejected by the people up high, the investigators were instructed to destroy the files. So there's no record now of perhaps as many as 18,000 cases.
Is that standard operating principle in other investigative agencies like the FBI, for example?
No. I mean, in fact, it's just the opposite. Most law enforcement agencies nationwide now are increasingly relying upon this data-based model of investigating crime. So, if you have an open burglary, you want to put as much information as you can about that case in, and you put it into the computers, and you watch for patterns, and that's exactly what the SEC wasn't doing. They'd have an insider trading case, they would work it for a little bit, then they would shred all their evidence that they gathered, and so companies that committed the same crime over and over again, the record of that wasn't going to be there anymore.
Now, shredding is kind of an old technology. It involves paper.
Right.
Are there digital records of these things? I mean,
No.
I'm assuming this stuff has been kept digitally since the 90s.
No. I mean, I think the upshot of the story is, and we don't know exactly what they mean when they say disposed of, but the upshot of it is that there's nothing left of these cases except an entry, like a line item, that said that registers the opening and closing date of the case and the company involved or the individual involved and what generally the case was about. So you'd have an entry that would say, for instance, Lehman Brothers, October 2002, financial fraud, and that's it. That's all that's left of the case. Whatever evidence was gathered doesn't exist anywhere digitally or in paper.
Why? You said this started around 93.
Right.
And the Securities and Exchange Commission, of course, was created, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 1935 or 36 by Franklin Roosevelt to oversee the stock market. In fact,
right.
didn't he
Joe
make...
Kennedy was involved with that.
Yeah, my old friend Gloria Swanson, who he swindled her out of a lot of money back when he was her agent and lover, told me just horror stories about Joe Kennedy, and she told me, and I've since seen it in other places, so it's probably apocryphal, but she told me that Joe told her that FDR told him that he put him in charge of the SEC because it takes a crook to catch a crook. And yeah, so in any case, the SEC has been around for a long time, and they've been looking for criminals on Wall Street for a long time. Why in 1993 did they start doing what, by any definition of law enforcement, would be insane?
That's kind of the big mystery of this story, and it's obviously, to me, a little bit troubling that I haven't been able to get an answer on that. I think there are two possible explanations for why this went on. One argument that I heard from, and it was pure speculation from some of my sources, was that this began as an accident. Somebody accidentally issued this injunction, but that the hires, the people high up in the agency discovered that it might be useful to no longer have the records around of incompetent investigations, so they just never overturn the policy. I think the other explanation, and this is the one that I tend to lean toward a little bit more, is that the people who run the SEC are by and large sort of high-priced political appointees who come from Wall Street. They are ex-bankers, they are ex-banker lawyers, and I think the idea of records no longer existing of failed investigations, I think it appeals generally to to Wall Street. And I think a lot of these people, maybe it began as an accidental policy, but I think once they realized that a bank would be investigated and there would be no record of what went on with that investigation, I just don't think that the people who are running the SEC have the political will or the appetite to reverse that policy.
You know, when you said 93, the thing that immediately jumped into my mind, and I'm operating off memory here, which is a very imperfect tool. It's been probably 6 or 7 years since I read a fairly comprehensive book about, the fall of Enron. But my recollection is that was right around the time that Wendy Graham was put on the board of Enron, and Enron started getting very, very politically active at the federal level. And her husband, Phil Graham, started proposing legislation that eventually became the Graham-Leach-Bliley and the Commodity Futures Modernization Act in '99 and 2001 that were containing the Enron loophole that were designed basically to allow Enron to get into the banking business in a much bigger way and to use the commodities, principally energy that it was trading, but to expand into other things and continue their, this was, Ken Lay on steroids. And if I was tracking this back, I'd be looking at Wendy Graham, Phil Graham, and Ken Lay in the early 90s.
Well, sure. I mean, and obviously in the early 90s, that's when Enron, asked the SEC for its, what became a notorious opinion that you can book future revenue as current revenue.
Right.
So,
and future losses as current losses against taxes.
Right. Exactly. And that you're right. That was I think if my memory serves me correctly, that was 93 or 94. So yeah, a lot of things going on back at that time. The only thing I got out of the SEC that was a bit mysterious, and I asked them where this policy came from. They told me that it was a female person. They didn't elaborate who it was. So
within the SEC, who made this policy?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with the kind of contemporary Democratic worldview that we've had basically since Nixon was pardoned, which is let's let bygones be bygones and learn from them.
Right.
Is the SEC changing this policy now?
Yeah, what happened was, and this story came to my attention because a whistleblower came forward to Congress and sort of detailed all these accusations earlier this year. But he came forward to the SEC last year when he discovered he was a lawyer who was reassigned to a department where he was in charge of maintaining records. When he discovered the problem, he told an outside agency, the National Archives, about this problem, and after that, the SEC did change its policy. They're no longer disposing of these records. So, at the very least, that's going on. But the problem is that, the damage is kind of done. I think, from the standpoint of law enforcement, you're looking back at the last 10 years, and, if you want to look back and see what Goldman Sachs or Sac Capital or Citigroup, what any of those companies are up to, you're just missing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases.
And you wonder to what extent their perception of their own risk might have been diminished by their knowledge that the SEC was not keeping these records, which might have caused them to behave even more recklessly during the Bush years when they were finally liberated by Phil Graham's legislation.
Right. That
Amazing.
Makes sense.
Amazing. Matt Taibbi, you can read about it over at the Rolling Stone, rollingstone.com, or pick up a copy. Always best to pick up a copy. Matt Taibbi, the investigative reporter for Rolling Stone. Matt, thanks again for the great work you're doing and for sharing it with us.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
Good talking with you. As always, we'll be right back.